Blue Iris performance tweaks and optimizations, and one bonus security setting for IP cameras. Number 1, Intel HD hardware acceleration. This is Intel's quick sync videos that is built into the i3, the i5, and the i7 processor. These are desktop grade processors, and it's a great feature if you're using a reclaimed desktop and you do not have a server grade processor to utilize the raw performance of a server grade processor. So if you're using a lower end, quote unquote, lower end desktop grade processor that's Intel, you can utilize this feature to accelerate the decoding and re-encoding within Blue Iris. With that said, let's show you how to open it up and enable it. You're going to open up Blue Iris. You're going to open up the settings by clicking on the little gear. Once you're in the Blue Iris options, you're going to click on the Cameras tab. You'll see here Intel HD hardware acceleration, and you'll need to restart Blue Iris after setting this setting. The options here are no, yes, and yes with video post-processing. Number 2, live preview rate. This is actually in the same screen that we're in, so you do not need to go anywhere. You just check this box here, limit live preview rate. This does not affect the recording, but it reduces the frames per second for the GUI interface. This helps with performance and not rendering extra frames for the GUI. I've left mine at 5. I can still see what's going on, and it doesn't affect recording, and it helps out significantly. Number 3, live preview scaling. To go to the live preview scaling, we actually have to go into Other tab. So if we click on the Other tab, and then you'll see a scaling option here at the bottom. There are 3 options: fast, not going to pronounce the rest, but if you put it on fast, this actually is less quality, but it's actually a lot better for the processor. Number 4, Webserver encoding. Keep in mind the Webserver portion of Blue Iris is for any remote viewing and if you're using the web interface. So it's actually any remote viewing at all unless you have the GUI open and the web interface. If you have multiple people viewing the server remotely, this will actually help out significantly. To get to this option, we're going to go to the Webserver tab, click on Advanced, and then you'll see Encoder Profiles. Whatever profile you have selected, Streaming 0 is the default. We're going to configure it. So go ahead and click the Configure button. And then under Advanced, you're going to see Preset. There's 3 options here. Ultra Fast is the lowest quality, but less CPU usage. I use this on Ultra Fast myself, and I have actually not noticed the quality difference because I'm viewing it on a mobile device, which the screen is 6 inches. This actually helps reduce the CPU load significantly. It's very beneficial to set this. So we're going to go ahead, click OK, and OK, and you're done with that. Number 5. This is a per camera setting. To get to the camera settings, just right click a camera, go into camera properties. Number 5 is direct to disk recording. This is probably the most beneficial performance tweak you could do with Blue Iris. Most cameras natively encode the video before sending it over the network. Blue Iris does not need to re-encode that to write it to the disk. You can re-encode videos to reduce the file size, but if you have more storage than you do processing power, it's extremely beneficial to write the video raw, which is direct-to-disk recording. To get to this, we're going to go into the camera properties like we've opened. Click on the Record tab. Go down to the bottom where it says Video Format and Compression. Under the video compression settings, we're going to check the direct-to-disk option. Number 6. This is also a per camera settings. You're going to open up the camera properties and then click on the Video tab. In here, we're going to set the maximum frame rate for the camera. This setting needs to be configured on the camera itself and in Blue Iris. Typically, you want to add 1 to 2 more frames per second than the camera has set. This will allow Blue Iris to drop less frames, but I would not go above 15 frames per second if you're trying to reduce CPU load. Anything above 15 frames per second is smoother, but you most likely won't notice it. If you have an abundance of CPU power and you prefer a smooth setting, you can go with 24 frames per second, but I am on performance optimizations for low-end systems or a system that you just want to use to reduce the CPU usage. Number 7, camera overlay text. This is beneficial for multiple reasons. CPU usage is one of them. You'll see a little bit of CPU usage benefit, but the main benefit of not having Blue Iris do the overlay text is when Blue Iris records, the overlay text, if it's done by Blue Iris, does not show on the recording. If you have the camera do the overlay text, not only does it reduce the CPU usage, the text will actually appear on the recording as well. To get to this, you open up the camera properties, go to Video, and then check or uncheck Enable Overlays. So we're going to uncheck Enable Overlays and let the camera do it. You will have to set this up in your camera. Before we get to the bonus security setting for IP cameras, I'm going to quickly go over the 7 performance features and review. Number 1, if you have a desktop grade processor and you have an Intel processor with the quick sync video, which includes i3, i5, and i7 processors, and some Xeon processors, which are server grade processor, but it's very rare. This is a great feature for you to benefit from. The other 4 global settings, actually 4 global settings in total, each one of these settings reduces CPU load, but does not affect the recording quality or frame rate. One last thing, number 7. As I said, the camera overlay text, I normally do this with the camera versus Blue Iris. I typically do the camera name and the date and time on it. If the camera does not have the option for overlay text, you can do this with Blue Iris. As I said before, if you do that with Blue Iris, when it records video of events, the time and date and the overlay itself will not be in the recording. Bonus security setting. This is basically for any IP-based camera. It doesn't matter if you're getting an IP-based camera that is a well-known manufacturer or is a cheap off-brand IP camera. I typically remove the network gateway from the camera. This allows any device on that same subnet to access the device, but the device does not know how to get back out to the internet. This is a security feature because if the device cannot get out on the internet, only the local subnet can connect to it and view it. This will not affect Blue Iris remote viewing. The Blue Iris server will have access to the camera to give you the video from the camera directly. More advanced networks may not need this, but I think it's a huge plus even if you have multiple VLANs and extra security steps enable. I remove the network gateway regardless if I'm doing VLANs or not. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked this and you thought it was informational, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Subscribe to my channel. Thanks.